If you've wondered how to stop letting fear make your business decisions, this episode is for you. My name is Casey Sharperson. I am the host of the Dream Build Repeat podcast, keynote speaker, and peak performance expert. I love talking about the topic of fear, so much so that I wrote a book about it, and it's called Dream Build Repeat: Harness Fear to Confidently Pursue Your Biggest Dreams. It is available on Amazon, and it digs into how fear can either keep you stuck or how it can propel you forward and how you can utilize it as momentum. However, I have found, even in myself, that mindset is a factor that impacts how you leverage that fear, right? How you utilize that fear. And that's what this episode is all about. We're proud to partner with Cindy Dennis Ministries every single May for their Lady Boss series, where we talk about womanhood, faith, and entrepreneurship and how those things intertwine. This particular episode was awakened in me as I was reading a book called Mindset. And this book is by Dr. Carol Dweck, and I have a copy here for those that are watching. And it's called The New Psychology of Success: How We Can Learn to Fulfill Our Potential. And I love to read. I love growth. As I mentioned, I'm a peak performance strategist. And with that, I often think that I have done a lot of personal work. I've done a lot of professional work. I think that in my 10 years of entrepreneurship and 1.5 years of full-time entrepreneurship, there can be this comfort that says, oh, I know what mindset I'm supposed to have. I have fully harnessed my mindset in order to get me where I need to go. However, in reading this book, I realized that I still had some work to do. And I am thrilled to share with you my takeaways and then also open up the space for you to communicate back and share what you learned and what sticks out to you. So in this chapter 1, I'm not going to go through the whole book, but just wanted to highlight a couple of things in chapter 1. And specifically, Dr. Dweck talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. A month ago, I taught on this topic. 5 years ago, I wrote a training on this topic. So you would think that I knew a lot about this topic, and I did, but this book helped me refine it even more and even make it more accessible and tangible for people. So I wanted to share with you the definitions of fixed mindset versus growth mindset as defined by Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is a belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, and learning. So our idea that a growth mindset, expansion, it's the belief that anything is possible if you just work hard enough. A fixed mindset, on the flip side, is the belief that abilities and intelligence are fixed traits and that effort is not required for success. Now, at first glance, I often say, oh, I definitely have a growth mindset. I believe in feedback. I understand that everything isn't perfect all the time. Yes, here we are. So intellectually, I'm here for it. I have a growth mindset. But through execution and through deeper dives, more examples, and deeper discovery, I found there might be some areas of growth for me. So there was a question that actually before I get to this powerful question, I want to highlight something that struck me in the book. And it says, the fixed mindset creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over again. A fixed mindset creates an urgency to prove yourself over and over again. And that's the part that really struck me. In my book, I talk about perfectionism and how I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I have found that even in my entrepreneurship journey, I find myself feeling like I have to prove over and over again, not only to other people, not only to my clients, but also to myself that I can do this work. And this is where, if you're stuck in a fixed mindset, that proving cycle can be something that holds you back. Why? I have found in my life, it's the refining, it's the updating, it's the, oh, I need to do more because it's not perfect. I need to do more because I need to make sure that they see the value that is aligned with this pricing and all of the things that go along with that. So I found that through this book, oh, I have some areas of growth that I personally need to do. And as entrepreneurs, we can get stuck in this cycle of proving. And even in a sales perspective, because as an entrepreneur, you are now in full-time sales. Regardless of what you do, regardless of the work that you do, you are now in full-time sales. So there is an element of, okay, you need to prove, you need to show people the value, you need to show people the work that you've done, you need to show people the potential, you need to show people what they're missing from your product or service or whatever it is that you're offering. But on the flip side, I want to challenge you, just like I have had to challenge myself. Am I stuck in a state of having to prove? Or do I have a growth mindset which says that regardless of the feedback that I receive, I take this feedback as a propeller to move me forward? Even if it's perceived as being negative, even if it's perceived as being detrimental even to what it is that I feel like I should be doing right now. The book talks about feedback as just being a vehicle. That's my interpretation, right? So feedback is a vehicle. If someone doesn't purchase, that is feedback in order to take as information, not as a personal attack on my character or a personal attack on the work that I'm doing. And it's also not even evidence that the work that I'm doing shouldn't be done. It's just information. And that is the shift. That's the shift that I have constantly had to make, because as an entrepreneur, the work that we do feels very personal. It can sometimes feel so connected to who we are as individuals. And I say this as somebody who is a keynote speaker, and I speak on peak performance. I speak on confidence. I speak on strategy. But because my stories are aligned to my work is aligned with my stories, sometimes a decline or an organization saying that they don't have budget or an organization not moving forward feels like an attack on me, feels like an attack on my value, when on the flip side, I could take this as feedback, right? On the flip side, I could say, okay, if they don't see the value in this particular amount of money of the offer that I provided, do I need to make a refinement in the offer that I am serving people? Or do I need to make a refinement to say, oh, maybe I need to narrow down who my ideal client is? It's now feedback, not a personal attack. And this was such a big shift that as I was thinking about my journey even this year as an entrepreneur, how it has felt to me in areas that I have felt stuck, I realized that stuck area was a fixed mindset. And I had not made that connection until I read this. So I wanted to bring it to this platform so that hopefully if you have felt stuck, or if you have wondered, how do I get over asking for money? How do I get over getting in front of a camera? How do I get over the fear of people saying no, or the discomfort of people saying no? Or how do I get over the fact that I feel unequipped, ill-equipped to start? There are so many things that we place, barriers that we place in front of ourselves that really shouldn't be placed there. They're self-imposed. And that's how fear can start to make your business decisions. When I thought about the topic for today, how to stop fear from making your business decisions, that's a key driving force. When your mindset is out of alignment, when your mindset doesn't recognize that failure is just information, then you can get stuck, we can get stuck in a cycle which is not moving forward. It's not progressive. It's not progressing us to where we want to go. So consider that fixed mindset versus growth mindset. It's a little bit of a shift probably than how you've spoken about it or how you've heard it talked about before, but I want you to consider your beliefs. Consider your beliefs. What is it that you believe about yourself? I'll remind you of this later at the end of the episode, but consider what your beliefs are. Now, I realize that I have beliefs around myself as an individual. I have beliefs about my spiritual walk. I have beliefs about my entrepreneurial journey, beliefs about my friendships, relationships. There's all of these areas where I have belief. So I'll give you a couple of examples. My belief is that I love to read. Reading is fundamental. Reading gets me access to information I would not otherwise know. Right? So I love reading. That is a growth mindset. It's something that says, whenever I read, whenever I watch a documentary, whenever I read an article and gain additional information, I now have insight that I didn't have before. On the flip side, one of my fixed mindsets has been that if it's new, specifically in a realm that I am less familiar with, right? I have recently started working in a new industry, and one of my fixed mindsets was, I don't know how to work in this environment. One of my fixed mindsets was, I don't know how to work here. Reading this book, I realized, oh, I'm holding myself back because I have so many transferable skills. The reason that I'm able to work in this environment was because I was invited to work in this environment because those who are experts in the field says that I have the expertise. So our mindset, our views, our perfectionism, my perfectionism can keep me stuck from moving forward and growing and developing in what I am called to do. Okay? So as an entrepreneur, we are always given the opportunity to develop, to grow, and to multiply what it is that we have the vision for. So I challenge you to have a growth mindset and identify the areas where you might be stuck. Identify the areas where you might have a fixed mindset. And with that, your takeaway, your homework is to make a list of the beliefs that you have and determine if they are a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. If it's a growth mindset, go forth. If it's a fixed mindset, take some time and reflect. How can you change or adapt your fixed mindset to one that is of growth? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. You can absolutely stay connected with me. My name is Casey Sharperson. I am very easy to find everywhere on the internet. Would love to connect with you. You can head to my website, caseysharperson.com, for more information. If you'd like to book me for a speaking engagement, order my book, all of that information is on my site, and I will see you next time. Thanks.